All right, good afternoon, everyone, or shall I say good morning as well to our friends from all over the world. My name is Dinesh. I'll be the host for today's webinar. Well, we have participants from over 30 countries, like Singapore, the US, Australia, China, Middle East, Europe, Germany, Spain, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, UAE, Vietnam, and Indonesia as well. So thank you for joining us today at this webinar. We're proud to present this webinar to you. Two icons in the PP industry, Bullard and Teijin, have come together to provide this webinar for you. Just a bit of background. Bullard is a leading manufacturer of high quality personal protective equipment and systems. We are a recognized leader in the safety market with its line of fire helmets and thermal imaging cameras. Teijin Aramid is the industry leader, being the world's #1 aramid producer with a near 50% market share. At Teijin Aramid, their solutions of high performance awards aramid take safety to a whole new level by significantly enhancing the resistance, durability, and strength to weight ratio of protective jackets and other garments. So just a bit of introduction about myself. I'm Dinesh Jagwani. I'm the emergency responder specialist. I'm based in Singapore, and I look after the Southeast Asia, Taiwan, and Oceania region. So just a big shout out to my customers, my distributors out there in the region. Thanks for joining us in today's webinar. Those are my contacts. You can reach me at that email. Look up for us at our LinkedIn page and also at our website, right? Our APAC website. For today's topic, in terms of choosing the right fire helmet, now there could be many reasons why a firefighter would want to choose the right fire helmet. I just want to focus on three main areas. Firstly is the thermal barrier. How can the UFIT system help firefighters? And back to the age-old question of fiberglass versus thermoplastic, right? Which is better? So for today's webinar, what we'll do, we'll just focus on the two main standards, right? The NFPA 1971 and also the EN 443 standards. Wherever you're dialing in from, whichever country you're from, you have your own local standards as well. But for today, we'll just use this two as the main parameter, and then we'll be able to discuss this further. What you see on the screen there is roughly, Bullard has more than 10 fire helmets out there in the market, fire, search and rescue helmets as well. It's important to know about the applications first, I believe, right? There could be many applications of fire helmets. Again, for today, we'll just focus on these areas. You may want to look at fire helmet for structural firefighting, wildfire use, search and rescue, air rescue firefighting, and onboard vessel firefighting. Or you can also use it for paramedics or EMT or hazardous response teams as well. So think about it. What area are you using a fire helmet for? And you may be thinking, could I use one fire helmet for all applications? Well, we'll see today if that's possible. So first up, we'll talk about thermal barrier. It's important to understand, obviously, being firefighters, the most important thing is protection against heat rise. So for heat rise, when firefighters are exposed to such high heat environments, they want to wear a helmet that that ensures that they are well protected. It provides them a proper thermal protection. For Bullard structural fire helmets, they all come with a dedicated inner liner that offers not only impact protection but also thermal protection as well. And we'll explain more on this on the thermal protection in a bit. For some of our fire helmets that we have, you can see that they have this foam here, a polyurethane foam, which is incorporated, and polyurethane incorporates a lot of air, the foam there, and it acts as an insulated barrier for protecting firefighters against high heat, so that they know that when they're going to such environments, they are well protected. On this side of the screen, you will see on some of our other fire helmets, we have the Smart Ridge inner liner. Now that's basically a bit of it's a dedicated thermal protection layer for these kind of fire helmets because they're narrower, and so it allows them the channels of air to be created between the ribs of the outer shell to create the insulative heat barrier. Now, why is thermal protection so important? almost, you'll be smiling to yourself and say, well, that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? But it's also good to understand that when firefighters are exposed to high heat environments, research have shown that for every 3 degrees Celsius in body temperature increase, there's a 400% increase in the skin absorption rates of the toxins. And that's just the skin, obviously, from the head down and all that. So it takes a while, and it poses an even greater risk for firefighters. So it's important that firefighters know that when they're wearing a helmet, it provides them that kind of thermal barrier. So it'll be good to have a structural helmet that you're wearing right now, and think about it, whether does your structural helmet currently have the inner liner to help you fight that heat buildup on your head. This is something that we have, a test that we have done, a comparison of the heat rise inside helmets with and without thermal liners, right? After they're exposed to the NFPA heat resistance test. So when you put such a helmet in an oven, for example, over 5 minutes, you can see that with a competitor's helmet, it actually rises, right? The temperature rises, the internal temperature rises. And with the Bullet helmet, it's essentially at least around 6 degrees cooler. And I think even at 6 degrees, it makes a lot of difference for firefighters when they are in a situation or in an environment where they're exposed to such high heat. So the first one will be on thermal barriers. The second one, we talk about the UFIT system, and this could mean different things to different people. For Bullet, what is the UFIT system? So it's actually a very unique adjustment system for inside the fire helmet. There are about 36 unique positional settings for Bullet structural fire helmet. Some of you, if you're using some other brands, from what I know, some brands have 3 settings, some have 9 settings, some have 16 settings. So with about 36 settings, this just goes to show that you can configure it any way that you want, the way it sits on your head. So I think that balance is important. Sometimes I got firefighters coming to me and ask, what is most important in choosing, right? What is the most important thing? And again, it may mean different things to different firefighters. Perhaps balance is also important to some firefighters, the way it sits on your head, moving around and all that. So it's important that the UFIT system or that balance is done properly. With the Bullet fire helmets, you can use this U-channel adjuster here that sits on the ratchet headband, which is inside the fire helmet. And you can use that to allow for a maximum fit of customization, right? So let's take a quick look at a video here on how this will offer a great balance in the fire helmet.
Bullard's UFIT Comfort System, the easy way to custom fit your Bullard structural fire helmet. Be sure to try on your helmet first and see how it fits and feels by rotating your head. Try it on with your gear so you know everything interacts well. Check the fit of your Bullard fire helmet by putting it on and rotating your head. When the helmet leaves the factory in Cynthiana, Kentucky, the suspension sits high in the front to accommodate your SCBA mask, and in the middle and the back to allow for comfort and clean interaction with your SCBA bottle. This fits the majority of users best. For those of you who need to adjust your helmet, this video will show you how to make sure your Bullard fire helmet is your perfect fit. Simply remove the ear neck protector and pop the U off the posts. Rotate the U and move the suspension tab to your desired position. Situating the suspension tab on the bottom of the U allows the suspension to sit lower on your head. Situating the suspension tab here on the higher part of the U allows the suspension to sit higher on your head. When you return the U to the helmet inner liner, you can choose from 2 post positions. Again, if you situate on the lower post position, the suspension will sit lower to your head. If you use the higher position, the suspension will sit higher on your head. There's one U in the front of the helmet and one in the rear for maximum adjustability. This allows you to adjust the front and rear of the helmet independently to account for different head shapes and sizes in interaction with your gear. Be sure to custom fit your Bullard helmet today, and remember that the secret to your most comfortable fit is in the U.
You understand the U-Fit system better now. Again, think about what you're using right now and whether a similar setting is available on your helmet. And if not, then does your firefighter have the right balance when they're wearing those helmets? Now, third on the agenda will be, this is a very age-old question. So this is probably the most common question I get when I talk to customers, and maybe when you talk to your customers as well, or you may be thinking, which is better out there, fiberglass or thermoplastic? Right. So what is the right answer? So let me share with you a few things whether on this point. Fiberglass. Now, fiberglass, again, very common. It's actually composed of two materials, right? You've got the thermoset resin and the glass fibers, which can vary in length. These thermoset resins are a family of plastics that do not melt at high temperatures, right? So you've got 50-50 mix. I think the most popular or well-known fact is that it has chemical resistant properties. So you see a lot of oil and gas customers, firefighters there, or fire rescue teams there who wear such helmets for their chemical resistant properties. Fiberglass does not melt at high temperatures. The helmet can become soft and gooey and all that, but you can still use them because they will harden after that. But repeated exposures, to extreme temperatures may also allow the helmet to bake out, right? But more importantly, it keeps the helmet or the firefighter intact in terms of that the helmet does not crack, right? Fiberglass, I think what's important is that today fiberglass are very well known for being used in very high heat temperatures, right? Now, what about thermoplastic? Thermoplastic, that's it's a very important core competency for Bullard. We have our helmet shells molded at 354 degrees Celsius. It has fantastic impact protection and durability. This one, not so much well known for the chemical exposures, right? So if it is exposed to too much, then it may cause some delamination of the shell. But I think what's very popular about thermoplastic fire helmets is that it is formulated to withstand high heat temperatures for short durations as well, 260 degrees Celsius and more. And of course, too much exposure to that can cause some bubbling or blistering, but the helmet will still give you a great impact protection and the shell will not crack. So I think it's important to know that, and you may be thinking, okay, so, if I'm using my fire helmet now, is it thermoplastic or is it fiberglass? Or is it using some other material, right? So think about it, which is better for you or in your area of work or in your industry. And remember, think about the applications I mentioned earlier. Do you need a fire helmet more made of thermoplastic, or are you happy with a fiberglass fire helmet? Now, there are additional considerations for some of you who may be thinking about, is that all for fire helmet? Could there be other considerations? Well, there are. So let me share some with you. These days, the trend is for fire helmets to have an integrated eye protection wear. So, for example, with the Bullard fire helmets, the NFPA ones at least, what we have here is you can see that we have an integrated eyewear, right? That can be stowed in and out of the helmet, right? Or like a drop-down kind of thing. So it can be stowed or deployed very easily. And this is actually based on feedback from customers themselves. So just about 2 years ago, we launched this. And you can see, you can just use your finger here just to lower down the eyewear. And it's good even for those who are wearing safety glasses or eyewear. You just use a left hand or right hand fingers to lower down the eyewear itself. And perhaps the best feature of all, it is very easy to clean, very easy to replace. You don't need any additional tools, right? And I'll just show you this quick video here. Take a look at it.
Showing you all how quick and easy it is to replace the retract visor. So, pop the finger latch, You're able to pull out the visor just like that. Do it on the left and right side. To put it back, all you're going to do is locate this notch on the visor and the mating part inside the retainer. It's as simple as just down and up like that.
So there you go. It's very simple to replace. It's good for cleaning, decontamination as well, and you do a proper wipe down of your helmet, right? No other tools or other parts needed. Again, think about if you're using something currently, are you using something that's as simple as the bullet fire helmet? There are other helmets out there perhaps that requires additional tools, and I'm not sure whether your fire safety teams would have access to those tools while they're out there in the field, right? So we've spoken about the integrated eye protection. Now let's talk about weight. This, I believe, will be the second most popular consideration that I get asked a lot. Is weight the most important? Now, I don't know about you, but I feel that based on my experience and talking to a lot of firefighters out there, I think on the onset you may think weight is important, but actually it is the balance of the way the helmet sits on your head and the way it is, how the comfort sits in as well. So you may have the lightest helmet in the world, but how it sits on your head, and does it affect you here too much, or is the headband too tight, and all that. So in the bullet range, for example, right, we have some made of thermoplastic, some made of fiberglass, and in the thermoplastic range, these are some of the weight examples, right, for the search and rescue helmet, and these two are the structural firefighting helmets. What about fiberglass? Is fiberglass heavier than thermoplastic? Not always, I would say. So you can look at the scale here. These are all fiberglass helmets. These are good helmets. This one very popular in Europe, especially in Germany, I would say. This one is very popular in Asia, APAC, even the Middle East as well, right? And they weigh pretty light, right? This one, in the US, this is a US traditional helmet, right? A fiberglass with that brass eagle there. You may be surprised, in the US, this is our top selling helmet, but it weighs in at 2.1 kilograms. So, maybe the US firefighters just prefer something heavy on the helmet to provide that kind of protection for them. So we get that a lot, right? Is weight the most important thing? I leave it to you to decide. And then we talk about the safety and comfort features. So for example, with the bullet magma helmet, right? You have a lot of space, or just a bit of space for to provide the integral insulation of the protection zone against the head, to protect yourself against heat, flames, or any sparks and all that. So there's an inner layer or inner shell and an outer shell. What it does is that it provides full ventilation within the protection zone as well, right? So you don't want to get a lot of hot air trapped within the fire helmet. If your fire helmet, the one they're using it's narrow and compact because it sits well on your head and all that's fine. But you do want to leave some room for the hot air to dissipate, right? To leave the fire helmet and to minimize that contact surface between the head and the harness as well. And probably one of the other considerations, which again, not many people think about it, but if you may want to, you look at maintenance, repair, and cleaning. So there are different helmets out there that requires a lot of components inside the helmet, right? So if you compare, for example, for today, we want to compare the Bullet Magma helmet with another brand of fire helmet. This fire helmet has about 80 components inside. With the Bullet Magma fire helmet, it only has 29 components. So what does 29 components mean to you as a firefighter? Or if you're a fire chief, what does that mean to your team? Right. Well, first of all, if you want to dismantle it and assemble it back, right, you can do it within a matter of minutes. For the Magma helmet, for example, you can actually disassemble and assemble it all, this entire thing here, within about 7 to 10 minutes. That's pretty fast. But I think more importantly, you also want to have lesser components. So if anything happens, in case you break it or you mishandle it or you lose certain parts, you don't have to worry too much about getting those replacement parts in. It's easier to store, easier to repair, easier to clean. And then overall, you need to look at it as in terms of a total lifetime cost. these days, perhaps some of you may be using a fire helmet for 5 years. Some of you may be using it for 10 years. Hopefully nothing more. As you know, the NFPA helmets are advised to be used for a lifetime, a period of 10 years. So you need to watch this lifetime cost. What are you doing right now in terms of your fire helmets? When you talk about maintenance, repair, and cleaning, do these help you when you are looking out for your firefighters, right? So to summarize, we've covered the thermal barrier, right, which is the protection against heat rise. We've talked about the balance, the U-fit system for a bullet helmet, how it sits on your head. And then the age-old question of fiberglass versus thermoplastic. So that's crucial. And then there are also other considerations you may want to look at. So could it be an integrated eye protection that's suitable for you? The weight of the helmet, additional safety and comfort features, and maintenance, repair, and cleaning, right? Now, because of all these considerations, right, what we have noticed, right, at least in the Asia Pacific region, is that some of our helmets are more popular because of these reasons. So again, Bullard has over 10 fire and rescue helmets, but in APAC region, I guess I would say the Magma Fire helmet is popular. Again, this is made of fiberglass. We have the LT Fire helmet. This is made of thermoplastic. We've got another fiberglass helmet, right? This is good for marine and structural firefighting as well. And then we have another one here. This is a rescue helmet. This is not NFPA certified, but this meets the NZ standards. It's a Type 2 rescue helmet. So this protects you from top, side, rear impact protection and front as well. Which is better, right? Is it fiberglass or thermoplastic? Well, actually, it's a trick question, because I leave it to you, the users and the customers, to decide. I've shared with you both the pros and cons. Well, there's no con to it, I guess. Both ways of looking at fire helmets. The idea really is to see what fits well. If you want a helmet that is to protect you against chemical exposures and all the other stuff, then you look at a fiberglass helmet. Otherwise, a thermoplastic will be good enough as well, right? So we have, so that's the end of my presentation. Again, these are my contact details, and I will now hand you over to Romain.
Thank you very much for Bullard to inviting us in this webinar. Well, today we are going to talk about the critical criteria to choose your turnout gear, especially when it comes to fire protections. So let's go now quickly talking about the different thermal risk that a firefighter is facing. There are several categories. The four main categories are the following. So there's the flashover, which is very well known for you guys or for firefighters. When the temperature goes above 1,000 degrees, then the different fumes can start to burn and you can be exposed to very, very hot temperatures. Second one is a flash fire. So you can be completely surrounded by fire during a very short period of time, which we call a flash fire. And there's different type of heat sources as well that you can be facing, convective heat and radiant heat. So I will go quickly now about how do we evaluate those risks, especially when it's come to structural firefighter turnout gears. So in Dejin Aramid, we have developed a specific solution, which is called a PLEAF, which enable us to test the different garments and show the different burn injuries exposed to heat. So let's look at these short videos.
Established its own burn evaluation system, which is known as PLEAF, Protect Life from Fire. Teijin is dedicated to transforming personal safety and security for society and individuals the world over. PLEAF is ISO 13506 approved and one of the select few burn evaluation systems worldwide. It features a ceramic mannequin that can withstand temperatures of up to 1200 degrees Celsius or 2192 degrees Fahrenheit. PLEAF simulates extreme fire conditions This allows the technician to test protective garments and evaluate the varying degrees of body burns when exposed to heat and flames.
So on the left side, you can see a garment made of Teijin Cornix.
The Pliff mannequin features more than 100 strategically placed and calibrated sensors that register and transmit actual skin temperature data in real time to a laboratory computer. The results are processed, video recorded, stored, and immediately available as visual diagrams and detailed numerical data for comparative analysis.
So this tool has been created by Teijin Aramid and located in Japan. And it's actually a way to simulate the flash fire, as you can understand. So while it comes to your turnout gears, you might ask yourself, okay, how does my turnout gear is tested and certified? So actually there's two main organizations that regulate the standards committees. One is the NFPA and the EN or ISO committees. There's different, let's say, norms used in different countries, but this is the most of them. Today, when it comes to turnout gear, we're going to talk about the standards, the two main standards, the European one, which is called EN 469, and the NFPA 1971. I will focus on the EN 469, but as a critical criteria today to test a garment, to test your turnout gear, there is a lot of different parameters, but look at the key ones. The key ones are the flammability, the protection against convective heat and radiant heats, the different mechanical performance, tensile and tears, and the liquid or chemical protection that you can be exposed as a firefighter. The last one is also called kind of a comfort parameters, which is called the breathability. So we measure the air going through. Today I will focus on the thermal risk, as I was saying, and especially on the EN 469. So, well, you might ask yourself, where can I find the certificate or the pictogram that shows that my garment is certificated? Well, it's really easy. It should be located in the inner liner of your garments. Most of the time you can find it by opening your garments. And when you look at this pictogram, there's critical and key information that can tell you how does your garment is performing. So there's 4 parameters. The first one is the XF, which is called the flame protection level for convective heat. The second one is also for heat protection, which is the radiant heat protection, and I will go through this after the presentation, during the presentation, sorry. The waterproofness, so we measure the way that the waters go through or not the 3 layers of your garments. And of course, the breathability again. So there's a lot of other parameters, but this is one of the key ones that you can refer when it comes to EN 469. And what to remember is that there is 2 levels. So you'll find out XF1 or XF2, and that will tell you what kind of level of protection you have in your turnout gear. Let's talk about the flame heat transmission, which is the XF parameter, was one of the key parameters. So what we are trying to simulate is to evaluate in the 3 layers complex that is made with your garment, the heat transmission in second when exposed to flame. You have to remember there's mainly 2 levels of performances, level 1 and level 2. The lower is the numbers, the lower is the performance. 2 critical parameters are tested on your gears. This is the HTI 24. It might be a little bit technical, but to make it very simple, this is the time needed to feel the 2nd degree burn on your skin. And the second key parameters is the delta HTI, or also called the escape time. So this is actually the difference between the time you feel the pain and the time you are burning the 2nd degree. So we call it escape time because this is when you are in a flash fire, this is at least the time that your garment will protect you against second-degree burn. So you might say, okay, in level 1, there's only 3 seconds, and in level 2, there's 4 seconds. But actually, 1 second difference between this escape time will make a huge difference. So be careful of the level of your garment that you are using. When it comes to this test, I'd like to share with you some influencing factors that you have to look at. Specifically the thickness, so this is more or less obvious, but the air is the most protective material in your garments. So the more hair, the more thickness you have in your garment, the better will be the protection. After that, there is the weight of the garments, or the weight of the 3 layers. Of course, the higher you go, the higher will be the protection. Of course, this is also always a balance between weight and performance, but also comforts. Some of you are using a membrane in their garments, and actually the membrane quality that you are using will play a key role. You might know there's 2 big categories in the membrane quality. There is the PTFE membrane and the PU membrane. Both are good, but performing differently according to this test. And when it comes to convective protection, also the usage of station wear beneath your turnout gear will be key. It will increase your protection if you use a Teijin Kornex station wear uniform. Some countries using it, some not. It's a choice, but at least you might know that using a Teijin Kornex Aramide station wear will improve your flame heat transmission and your protection. Second key parameters is the radiant heat source. So it's more or less the same test than the previous one. We are looking at the same parameters, 2 different levels. The only difference is that the heat sources that we are exposing, the 3 layers, are different. Let me quickly go to the influencing factor. So there's 2 similar influencing factors in the radiant heat and the convective heat, which is the thickness of your 3 layers and the weight. But actually there's an interesting, or 2 interesting new ones in this test, which is the color of the outer shell. So we see a trend in the firefighter market going from dark color to light colors. And actually this trend will enable you to also be a little bit more protected. So to make it simple, a darker color will be less performing against radiant heat compared to red color or beige color. And this is why, for example, in Paris or in different countries in Middle East, we see a lot of new colors coming, and this is also a reason of safety. The last parameters that needs to be also considered is the content of Toiron and Technora in your outer shell. And this is very simple. The more of it you have in it, the better will be the performance against the radiant heat. So think about it when you select your garment. Make sure that you have the right color and the right content in the outer shell. So let me now talk about the unique technology and that Teijin Aramid has developed. So this is a textile solution which is used as a lining into firefighter turnout gear. It can be also used in technical rescue and wildlands. So as I was saying is, this is a textile, and the key parameters for a lining, the key important parameter for a lining is to be comfortable. For that, you need an excellent breathability, which is what we have on this product, and I will show you a little bit of a comparison after these slides. We have also unique structures. So as I was saying previously, for the different critical tests that we have for your turnout gear, the air is one of the best insulative material. So we've designed this solution to encapsulate hair in the fabric to decrease to increase the protection, decrease the thermal bridges, and increase the bulkiness or the thickness of your garment. Also, we optimized the weight of this fabric compared to the protection against thermal risk. And let's go through a quick comparison. We are looking now at the breathability of single layers of TechWave. And you know, it's obvious. We can see there's it's far more time breathable than regular solution or standard solution that you can see in the market for the same weight. So let's say this, you will not feel this fabric. It's very lightweight, very breathable, so, but without compromising the performance. And when it comes to the 3D structure and the performance, as I was saying, you can look at the cross-section pictures in the right corner, and you see the canals that has been, or the tubes that has been developed. So actually it's a 3D active fabric which encapsulate the air. And we also had feedback from the end users that that also increased the comfort because of the shape. You decrease the friction of the lining on the skin because there's few contact points on the skin. So that's also an important parameter, I think, comforts. You have to think about it when you wear your turnout gear. When it comes to flash fire, we simulate a flash fire with our PLIF mannequin in Japan. And when we do a mannequin test like this, we always evaluate the different burn injuries after flash fires. And in this case, using the TechWave solution, we decrease the second and the third degree burn by 5%. While you might tell, well, 5% is not a lot, but you know, 5% when you have burn injuries of second and third degree burn, that's a lot, especially to have a better recovery. So think about it. If you can have the same weight with better protection, you have to think about it. When it comes to the protection against heat, so we've made a comparison as well of the TechWave solutions with the standards solution in the market. And actually, interesting enough, with the same weight of the complex that's supposed to be at the same level, actually the TechWave overpassed the competitors, but passed also the level 2. So you might be in borderline with a standards complex in the market while using exactly the same outer shell, but a different lining with TechWave without compromising the weight. You will reach the highest and the best performance according to same reasoning for the radiant heat protection. The outer shell is key, but as these numbers are showing, the lining will also play a key role to improve your radiant heat protections according to EN 469. So this is an optimum protection for an optimum weight with the TechWave solution. So there's a lot of different reference that are using, or fire brigade that are using this technology today. The main one is in Japan and Tokyo. We've been supplying Tokyo firefighter with this technology over the last year. Recently, Bangkok is using it, Shanghai, one of the famous one in Europe, Paris, and Brazil. We're looking to others, big cities, and hopefully one of your cities soon. Some ideas of the application would be functional lining for a wireline application. So today, for wireline application, there's always one fabric which is composing your garment. But actually, we have tested it. It's under field trial with different wireline fire brigades to integrate TechWave as a lining, and we see an enormous benefit, or they see an enormous benefit when it comes to protection. And with the excellent breathability, you can imagine that the comfort is not compromised. So this is still where we can have a benefit using using TechWave in wildland application. While it comes to turnout gears, it's already, as I was mentioning before, battle-proof. TechWave is used in several big countries in the world in the 3 layers turnout gear. So, well, let's go now quickly about what to remember. So, the first point, which is important, is make sure that, of course, your turnout gear is certified. That might be a stupid remark, but I think it's quite important for personal protective equipment, and according to the right standards and the level of thermal protection. The second point that you have to remember is when you choose your turnout gear, think about the right color that you want to use and what is the fiber blend. So you can always ask this question to your garment makers. Do you have enough Twaron in your blend? Do you have enough Teijin Cornex in the blend that I will reach the right performance and the right protection? And last, this is the lining. So we always talk in a turnout gear about the outer shell, but I think I tried to explain in the previous slides talking about the TechWave that the lining can play a critical role in your turnout gear and in your safety and comforts. So this is it for me for the presentation. I hope you enjoy it and learn about the critical criteria that helps you to select your turnout gear. You can reach out Teijin going to the website, but also through our LinkedIn, and you can also contact me specifically for a specific question, and also contact the sales team in your different regions. So I will be happy to reach out later on after this webinar. Thank you very much.